On this episode of Destination Dare, an overview of the upcoming beach nourishment projects. The town of Southern Shores takes you back in time with a look at the wrecks of the Paul Gamiel Hill Lifesaving Station. The town of Nags Head looks at the recent emergency preparedness exercise to promote regional cooperation. And the town of Manteo has an interview with Jack Wilson. Starting in May, the towns of Duck, Kitty Hawk, Kill Devil Hills, and Dare County will begin a beach nourishment project. Here's an overview.
A scenic destination and home to many, the Outer Banks coastline is a beautiful and yet delicate treasure. Storms, high winds, and tidal changes contribute to beach erosion, which not only diminishes the area of beach available to enjoy, but puts homes, businesses, and important infrastructure at risk. To restore and preserve our fragile coastline, Dare County, in conjunction with the towns of Duck, Kitty Hawk, and Kill Devil Hills, are implementing critical beach nourishment projects over the summer months of 2017. After 3 years of planning and development, construction on the projects is anticipated to begin in mid to late May, lasting mid to late September 2017. Taking place on limited sections of town and community beachfronts, many residents and visitors may not experience any impacts during the nourishment process. However, it is important for all of us to practice patience and understanding as we work to protect our shorelines. Beach nourishment is the process of pumping sand onto an eroding shoreline both above and below the water in an effort to widen and protect the shoreline. Sources of sand may include a nearby sandbar, a dredged source such as an inlet or waterway, or an offshore borrow site along the ocean floor. The widened shoreline provides increased defense from coastal storms and beach erosion, protecting property, communities, and infrastructure located along the shoreline. Utilizing large machinery on both land and sea, including bulldozers, dredges, and large metal piping, the contractors will begin their 24/7 operations to widen select areas of shoreline and complete the project as quickly as possible. The Northern Beaches Nourishment projects will begin in the town of Duck and work their way south to their conclusion in the town of Kill Devil Hills. In the immediate construction zone, the sound of heavy equipment, including backup alarms, will be heard, and at night, lights will be visible. As the project moves down the beaches, a pipe will be placed incrementally to pump the sand for the project. Ramps will be provided, located at regular intervals in beach accesses to ensure that access to the water is maintained. The beachfront and the immediate construction zone will be closed off to the public during the extent of construction in that area, lasting an average 3 to 5 days. The town of Duck will be undergoing its first beach nourishment project in the summer of 2017. The contractor, Great Lakes Dredge and Dock Company, is expected to begin construction mid to late May, with a forecast of operations lasting 60 days, ending mid to late July. The northern boundary of the project area is located just north of Oystercatcher Lane, and the southern boundary of the project is located just north of the Army Corps of Engineers Field Research Facility.
When we look at beach nourishment, we started looking at this back in the 2011, 2012, around the same time Nags Head was replenishing their beach. And our first step was to contract with the Corps of Engineers for a simple study of the beach. That led to a contract with CP&E, our engineers. Once again, more detailed studies, design, and basically engineering of the beach. When we first moved forward on beach nourishment, we were pretty much on our own. And of course, went to the county looking for assistance with respect to funding. And Kill Devil Hills and Kitty Hawk were also looking at beach nourishment. The county kind of pulled us together, and we moved forward together with the same engineers, CP&E. And the real advantage was cost savings. We recognized over 17% cost savings.
In the town of Kitty Hawk, construction efforts are expected to begin in mid-June and are expected to last 60 days, with an anticipated end date sometime in mid-August. The nourishment project will cover the town's entire 3.58 miles of shoreline, beginning at the town line shared with the town of Southern Shores and working south to the town of Kill Devil Hills.
Simply put, we don't have any other option. Kitty Hawk has its back to the wall, has had for years and years. The ocean is right up next to homes that have been moved over the years many times. they can't be moved anymore because they're right up against the road. The ocean is also up against the road and has washed the road out numerous times, requiring sandbags by the state. That's a temporary fix. So with no other option, beach nourishment is the only thing left for us to try. We're not allowed to harden the beach in North Carolina. Bottom line is we hope that it will move the wave action further offshore. The wave run-up hopefully won't come to the overwash condition as often as it has. Right now, moderate storms do it. We flood. Kitty Hawk, in particular, is in a bowl east of 158, and that floods. Now, that'll flood also with the rain, but in this case, we're trying to prevent ocean overwash. That damages all the infrastructure. We can't get emergency vehicles through to help people. Roads get washed out, and homes get damaged. So hopefully some of that, not all of it, but most of it will be mitigated. It's not a fix-all to everything.
With an expected starting date of early August, the projected duration of the town of Kill Devil Hills portion of the project is expected to take 45 days, with a forecasted completion date of early to mid-September. The Nourishment Project will cover 2.6 miles of shoreline, beginning at the town line shared with the town of Kitty Hawk and working south, with operations ending at Prospect Avenue. This conclusion of operations will mark the end of the county's northern beach nourishment projects.
Beach nourishment is so important to the town of Kill Devil Hills to protect our infrastructure. The beach is our livelihood, it's the key for our economy, and protecting that beach helps protect our tax base and our infrastructure. The benefit overall is storm protection, and certainly a secondary benefit is enjoyment for our locals and our residents and our visitors that come here to enjoy our greatest asset, which is the beach. It's beneficial that the town is able to collaborate with Dare County and with Duck and Kitty Hawk because of the cost savings involved. With the three municipalities going in together, we have significant shared savings, as well as the overall benefit of having larger beaches in multiple areas. It benefits the overall structure of the beach nourishment process.
Further south, on Hatteras Island, the Buxton Beach Nourishment Project is meant to ensure safe and reliable access to Hatteras Island via NC-12. The project, which will be fulfilled by Weeks Marine, will span approximately 2.9 miles of beach from its northern boundary at what is known as the Haulover north of Buxton to its southern boundary at the oceanfront groin near the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse. The project will initially widen the beach by approximately 250 feet and is expected to begin in early June 2017.
Due to hurricanes, due to nor'easters, gradually over the years it continued to erode that area. With all the nourishment going up at the northern beaches, Nags Head obviously was the first to do this, and it's proven successful. And we need to protect this economic engine of ours, and that's what brings our visitors here. That's what provides businesses here to make a living when the visitors come and participate and stay at our hotels, dine at our restaurants, shop at our retail. It's our biggest asset, and it's so critical to continue to protect that.
Keep in mind that weather and equipment failures may cause breaks and delays in nourishment operations, and that all dates are subject to change. Visit morebeachtolove.com for more information on the project's current status, to sign up for email alerts, video updates, maps highlighting work areas, and much more.
Take a step back in time with a look at the wrecks of the Paul Gamiel Hill Lifesaving Station that once was in Southern Shores.
This was a watery I-95 out here. If you were in trade and commerce and you were moving cargo from, say, Baltimore or Philadelphia or New York, it needed to go to Savannah. It had to go by boat, and there were many, many vessels transiting these waters. There was, over a period of decades, something like, on average, one wreck a week of sailing vessels, primarily. So what I would like to do this evening is to share with you things that I've learned about the Paul Gamel's Hill U.S. Lifesaving Station that used to be here in Southern Shores.
Bob Moir is a Southern Shores resident who became interested in the U.S. Lifesaving Service after seeing an abandoned station near the Currituck Beach Lighthouse. He has extensively researched the Lifesaving Service since then, especially the Paul Gamel's Hill Station, and recently gave a presentation during a Southern Shores Civic Association meeting to suggest the placement of a plaque to dedicate the former location of the station.
I live at 5 8th Avenue, Southern Shores, and it's 1 block from Hillcrest Beach, south of it. And come to find out, during the height of the Lifesaving Service time, which ran roughly from the mid-1870s up to 1915, there were 29 lifesaving stations built on the Outer Banks in North Carolina. The more I read about it, I learned that there were approximately 5 to 6 miles between stations. So at one point I'm scratching my head, and I thought, well, if you go 5 miles south from Caffey's Inlet Station, which is up where Sanderling Hotel is now, 5 or so miles, you're right into Southern Shores. Now, where is this? Where was the old lifesaving station? Had to be one here. And I did finally find an old Army map from 1943 that showed the Paul Gamel Hills Station right smack dab in the middle of Southern Shores. Come to find out, that station was, when it was in existence, it wasn't there now obviously, but it was right smack dab at the public beach, Hillcrest. I had a sense that from an old National Geographic map that I had that there were wrecks right off of here. So I wanted to tie in the wreck and the time with the experience of the crew of Paul Gamel's Hill Station, and found that if I contacted in the National Archives in Atlanta, there was papers from the original station records, handwritten in form, that I got them to copy and send me for the dates when the wrecks occurred. There were 7 named wrecks during this time, 1883 to 1932. From these named wrecks, there were 50 mariners that were cared for, aided, or brought ashore physically by the crew of this station, including on one wreck, they had a couple of tamed bears that the crew went out. The crew of the wreck, they just waded ashore because the wreck came up so high, but there were 2 tamed bears in the captain's cabin, and so the crew of Paul Gamel's Hill here went out and brought the bears in. I don't know exactly how that came to pass, but it was an interesting part of the report. I just think these lifesaving station crews, later Coast Guard crews, should all be applauded a bit for, in some cases a lot, for all that they were able to do in terms of safeguarding the welfare of mariners, and I think we should all have our hats off to them.
A multi-county emergency preparedness exercise met in Nags Head recently to promote regional cooperation.
Yes, sir. The geographical areas have not changed since our last meeting. Situation Unit's got a very detailed map on the screen. We've got the North Division, the South Division, the Marine Division, and the Sound, and the Traffic Division that's going to be monitoring Highway 158 and the designated travel routes for the buses.
My name is Kevin Zork. I'm the fire chief here in Nags Head, and we are involved in a very unique opportunity to fine-tune our emergency preparedness here on the Outer Banks. We have approximately 25 professionals from northeastern North Carolina. These are emergency management specialists, and they're getting together to help provide an incident management drill exercise where we can all fine-tune our opportunities to help the community.
Today we're here as part of a disaster assistance working group exercise where we've brought members of the disaster assistance working group, better known as the DAWG, from northeast North Carolina to Nags Head to help us plan a special event. The goal of the DAWG is to bring an incident management team in to help a local community that may need a little bit extra planning expertise to prepare for a large-scale event. So today here in Nags Head, we've got, I'm the emergency management director, I'm wearing a liaison officer role, and that's part of the incident command system. So every person who comes here gets assigned a position to fulfill. They have a training book that they've completed, and they're able to bring a professional skill set to manage an incident. And right now we're working through the planning process. And to do that in ICS, there's a thing called the planning P, where it takes you from, you start off, you know something's either happened or is going to happen. You set some objectives that need to be met to ensure public safety, primary ensure public safety, ensure a very safe and effective event. I also have members of the promoters. If there's an event going on, we ask them to participate with us. But we set objectives, and then we start writing a plan. And the people that bring that together are people like our operations section chief, who happens to be from Gates County, who is pulling all the resources together. And that plan is put together, written, and here just in a little bit we'll be doing the operational brief to the folks that would come in to execute the plan.
My name is Billy Winn. I'm the Emergency Management Director for Gates County, and I'm a member of the Disaster Assistance Work Group. We are part of an IMT, an incident management team. Our duties are to assist other people. I'm from Gates County, it's small, so if I need help on an incident, I've got 13 people that I can call to make up the incident management team. We can't do it all alone, and it's been the goal of the DAWG to bring that collaboration piece together and make it where we can be a big team.
As you know, Dare County has quite a few large special events and mass gatherings that require a dramatic amount of planning, and this is one tool that we'll now have for our toolbox to help us become more proficient in the planning for these large events, so we keep the public and the responders safe.
The Town of Manteo introduces you to Jack Wilson.
I was born in Manteo, August 4th, 1925, and I've been a resident of this area for 91, almost 92 years. Manteo was just a small little fishing village, actually with no access from the island except by boat. The bridge wasn't built till 1930, and see, I was born in 25. Well, the island first was almost self-contained. If you wanted vegetables, you raised them. If you wanted fish, you caught them. And we didn't have a whole lot of boat traffic until after the 30s. World War II made a major change immediately to our whole island. The Navy came in, and I think probably started declaring in there around 1941 for the Navy of the building of the barracks and all, and well, actually the whole airport, I guess, really. In July 29th, 1943, I went to Norfolk, Virginia, and was sworn into the U.S. Coast Guard. And actually, with all due respect, the Coast Guard is a great organization, and I've always admired it, and I was glad to be a part of it, but probably made one of my first major mistakes in my life when I got sent to Nags Head Coast Guard Station and resented it. I could probably have gone to most any school that I wanted to go. And when I was asked if I would, what school would I like to go to, I said, there's only one thing I want out of this Coast Guard, out. And that did not go over very well. So I was a first-class seaman. Then I came out of the Coast Guard a first-class seaman. 9 o'clock on Monday morning, March 31st, 1948, I accepted a job with Kellogg's Supply Company. Kellogg's Supply Company, when I first went to work with it, we started sending some materials to Hatteras Island, but it was done by a boat that used to come into the airport. We could go out to that dock and load boats, and they would carry the materials down to the Hatteras Island locations. Then after we started seeing how much materials they really needed and wanted down there, we surveyed the possibility, and it worked out that from up here where the Catholic Church is today, beginning of Highway 12 south, at that point down to Organ Inlet, and then on the other side of Organ Inlet to Rodanthe, there was no road, no pavement. It was all sand and flats. But we started making deliveries. Toby Tillett operated a boat called the Barcelona, and he actually had a ramp that he cranked up with a hand winch that he dropped down, and he would get as close into the shore as he could get, and you'd drive your car or your truck up on the ferry. He didn't have any regular schedules. You called him, and he would tell you when he could take you. When you got to Rodanthe, there was a paved road. That was the single paved road. So actually, when you, even after you got to Rodanthe, when you were carrying the materials to the person's house, you still had to drive up in the sand. I retired from Kellogg's Supply Company on March 31st, 1990, which gave me exactly 42 years to the day. I would say by 50, 51, I was a member of the fire department. The first time that they talked with me about being chief of the department, I said, not as long as Raymond Westcott lives will I be chief. He'll be chief. I don't mind being assistant chief, but I'll not be chief as long as Raymond lives, and we'll accept it. Well, he was a chief when he died. And shortly after that, which would have been in mid-50s, is when I became chief of the fire department. And I was the last chief of the Manteo Fire Department and the first chief of the Roanoke Island Volunteer Fire Department. My grandfather, Adam Etheridge, John T. Daniels, well, the actual crew from the Kitty Hawk Coast Guard Station assisted the Wright brothers. My grandmother actually did some of the sewing onto the gliders that they worked with. I know when they first built the little building over at Hill Devil Hill that they said was a replica of the house that the Wright brothers lived in when they were here. Went in, the first thing she said when I opened the door and went in, she says, oh no, this is not the way it really was. She was pretty well set in her way and didn't mind saying, I can tell you exactly how it was, and then you can't tell me because I was here, you weren't.
That's all the time we have for this episode of Destination Dare.